Welcome to the Broncos podcast with Troy Rink. I'm your host, Troy Rink from the Denver Post. It's a Victory Tuesday for Broncos country. Broncos, as we expected, get a get-right game against the hapless Bengals. It was more Limp Bizkit probably than Mozart. It was a little more graffiti and Etch-a-Sketch than Da Vinci. But hey, listen, no one's going to complain when your offense has 512 yards, the most since Peyton Manning in 2014. And wins by nearly 4 touchdowns. So it was a weird game. It had no real feel because the refs decided to make it about them for long stretches. And some of those are penalties, but they were completely overzealous at times. But the Broncos, in the bigger picture, the large frame is they're 2-2. They look like they have started to form an offensive identity. They had balance. Imagine that. What happens when you run the football? J.K. Dobbins did something no one's done under Sean Payton in Denver. Bo Nix played one of his best games of his career, and the defense just absolutely suffocated a hapless Bengals attack without Joe Burrow. But again, you play the teams on the schedule in front of you. You wish Burrow had played in the game from a fan perspective. He did not. And, man, the Bengals, they look like they are in huge trouble. The Broncos look like they're starting to turn the corner. Certainly Bo Nix delivered the kind of game we've expected out of him since the way he ended last season as a rookie. So Broncos, impressive overall 28-3 victory. Essentially, they flipped the stats from last week versus the Chargers and turned them on their head and had the same stats, except in a winning fashion, against the Bengals. So they're 500. The offense might just have an identity. Bo's playing well, and the defense really gaining traction and finished. We're going to talk about all of that after the break. Have you been injured in a car wreck or hurt at work? What are you waiting for? Give my friends at Hoggatt Injury Law a call. You see them on the screen. Those watching on YouTube, that's Darby Hoggatt. Darby's motto and his company with us, it's personal. It's because it is. I've known Darby forever. We traveled the country watching our boys play baseball. I became his good friend. Many of Darby's clients become his good friend. You don't even have to pay Darby up front. If your case goes as planned, Darby will be the one writing checks to you. So again, if you've been injured in a car wreck or hurt at work, give Darby's team a call. It's 1-833-HOGGATT, or you see it on the screen there, 1-833-464-4288, or go to the website at hoggattlaw.com. All right, let's start digging in here. Broncos country starting to feel a little better about this season. It was an interesting start to the year. Broncos, despite all their penalties, despite their inability to finish, despite the crazy mistakes, including the leverage penalty against the Colts, they're 2 walk-off field goals for being 3-0. But they could have easily been 0-3 when you look how poorly they played the opener against Tennessee. For whatever reason, Sean Payton's teams do not play great in September. I think some of it is the complexity of his offensive attack. But in October, these 50, I think it's 50-17, and it was almost October, and they started to play like that last night. Outside of that first ugly 3-and-out drive, a lot of rhythm, 3 straight scoring possessions, and it was just it didn't end up balanced totally because Bo Nix still passed 42 times. It's a little more than you would like. But J.K. Dobbins, folks, did something that no one's done under Sean Payton. 38 games in, counting the playoffs. They had never had a 100-yard rusher under Sean Payton. It's over. It's over. Dobbins has 101 yards rushing. He and Harvey showed a nice little 1-2 punch. And Dobbins has got some juice right now, folks, averaging 5.7 yards per carry. And we'll talk more about that. But what it does is it creates spacing for Bo Nix. It forces defenses to start making some decisions that they become uncomfortable. Because when you've got to stop the run, you've got to come down into the box. You've got to know that hey, we got to have someone down there. And when you do, it creates spacing and layering in those throws. And so what was different about Bo Nix last night? Bo did not start the season well. He was terrible against the Titans. Remember the Titans? He doesn't want to. Against the Colts, he had a deflection. And then he deflected about it on the podium afterward. And against the Chargers, he missed 3 deep throws, including a couple to Marvin Mims, connect on one of them, and they win that game. But he played pretty well for 3 quarters. I'd say really well against the Colts. He just had the one bad pick. But where's the consistency? Can we do it for a full game? And what we saw on Monday night should be encouraging, Broncos country. That looked like the Bo Nix. That looked like the player building off of last season. He was decisive. His mechanics were better. The happy feet became mellow. His shoulders were squared on throws. His head was up. He was seeing downfield. All the things you want mechanically, it looked like he kind of fixed. Now, there's some throws, that you'd want back, but the reality was 29 of 42, 326. That's a high in yards for Bo. He was really, really efficient. And we like the fact that Bo takes chances. But when you take chances, you still have to take care of the ball. There's that balance. Last night, he had a good balance with it. He audibled to some plays that Sean Payton admits saved him. I mean, the touchdown pass, the 19-yard touchdown pass to Courtland Sutton, that's a risky play with where the clock was, but he puts it right where only he can catch it. They get a touchdown, a huge momentum change. Other than one play, an interception on 4th and 2, where Sean Payton, who had a nice game as a play caller, channeled Jay Norvell, Taj Bullock, and rolled Bo all the way out to the right side, and it strings out, and it leaves the sideline as the best defender. He throws a pick. I mean, he had to throw it there because it's 4th down. Other than that play, he played about as good as you'd expect in that type of game. It's a Monday night game. He's played well in the spotlight. He played well against Cleveland in the spotlight game. He played well against the Bengals. Even the Chargers in a game they lost, he played pretty well. But that's just the Bo Nix you can win with. You can beat good teams if him playing like this. But it also showed that if Bo Nix is going to be efficient, that you don't need him to be perfect. And I've written about this, and I have a column today like hey, finally the real Bo Nix showed up. This is who we think he can be. Now, he's not going to be great every week. We understand that. But this is who we expected him to be, to build off of last season. I wrote, when they got to this year, they wanted to see shades of Manning, but not Arch at Ohio State. They want to see Bo build off that great rookie season. He had 34 touchdowns, folks. This isn't – when everyone says everyone's hyping him up, he produced the hype with his stats. He had 34 total touchdowns. It wasn't like he had 18 and we're all projecting, he had 18, but he should have had 30. No, he had 34. And on many weeks, he was the best player on the field for the Broncos offense. That player showed up. That player showed up on Monday night against the Bengals. Efficient, crisp, decisive, on platform and off. I mean, it just those first few weeks, it just felt like he was just frustrated. He's constantly shaking his head. He's burning timeouts. He's yelling at players for not being lined up. All things you do as a leader, but it kind of saps some of your joy. Makes it a little joyless if we can't run the operation smoothly. Last night, I think Payton did him a favor. There was less personnel changes, fewer personnel changes. It's still too many, in my opinion. You're better off creating mismatches through motion than personnel groupings. Whatever. That's Payton's deal. He's probably never going to change that. But with the running backs, they were giving a series to Dobbins and a series to Harvey. Ingram, I mean, he got some run. Only 42% of the snaps, but he was at least targeted, felt like he was part of it. There was a point where I was like, oh, my God, Bo Nix is seeing ghosts. And I was like, oh, no, that's Evan Ingram. But Ingram was part of it. He's got a long way to go to convince Broncos country. He still doesn't look completely healthy, if I'm being honest. He's had a calf injury and a back injury. He had a drop last night. I mean, they had, by my count, 4 drops. So you're talking about Bo going 29 for 42. He could have easily been 33 for 42. And if Troy Franklin comes back to the ball a little bit on a long ball, I mean, you're talking about Bo having around 375 yards passing. So really efficient night. But it wasn't just with his arms. It went with – and all these are third down plays, the Sutton and – one play, there's a couple plays in particular I want to talk about with Bo. Third quarter, when you're like, is he seeing the game well? Is he seeing the field well? And he talked about afterward about how he thought he was seeing really well. It's an RPO where Bo's sticking the ball in the belly of RJ Harvey. But as he goes to do it, it's a corner blitz, a nickel blitz, where the guy's literally about ready to take the handoff. Bo sees it early, pulls that ball back, and woof, throws a dime quickly to Troy Franklin for a nice gain. I think it was on first down. That's telling you that the athleticism's returning, that he's not just thinking, that he's not paralyzed by the playbook, that he's being an athlete. And we talk about that in sports all the time. If you think you stink, at some point you get to the game, you're prepared, you're over-prepared, but then that should allow you to play fast and relaxed. And what I saw last night was the athletic Bo Nix. See and react. And we saw it not just with his arm, but his feet. Did you see him take off on that 6-yard touchdown run? That was pretty impressive. That was impressive. And they need more of that. When he goes north and south like that, where he can go straight up the middle and then veer off, get that 8-yard gain, get that 6-yard gain. That's part of who he is. When I watched Jackson Dart, and it's not sustainable probably the way, because he was taking hits, but that's how Dart beat the Chargers in his first start, is using that part of your skill set and your toolbox and call a few RPOs. Use the whole package you have with Bo. But most impressive was he was decisive in his decision-making. He was accurate, on time, on target, and he just played with a calmness that reflected maybe a little bit of a simplified offense. Okay, and let's, granted, the Bengals are hapless right now. Their defense stinks, and it looks like it's only getting worse. Again, you can't decide who you play against. The Broncos needed that kind of game. And I walked away from that saying, okay, it looks like Bo Nix is finally playing like we thought he would play to start this season based on how he finished last year. So that's all a good thing. But what was the key to that? Balance. And I want to get to more of that after a quick break. Listen, when you face curveballs from family challenges, divorce, legal separation, child support, alimony, custody, you need a lawyer who understands human dynamics, the courtroom, and is willing to fight for your rights. You need Ted Shih. A graduate of the Cal Berkeley Law School, Ted brings 40 years of courtroom and 20 years of family law experience to your corner. Ted's been a social worker, a police detective, but first and foremost, a trial lawyer. He has tried cases across Colorado and the country. Martindale Hubbell ranks Ted among the top lawyers in the U.S. You want an expert to navigate your family challenge? Call Ted. Ted's passion is putting you first. He will work to settle your case, but he's not afraid to go toe-to-toe in a trial. Ted can be reached at theoshih@aol.com. That's TheoShih at AOL.com, or call him 303-475-2981. That's 303-475-2981. Ted promises to respond to your concerns within 24 hours, 365 days a year. All right, welcome back to the pod. Again, Victory Tuesday for Broncos country. Broncos clobber the Bengals 28-3. An impressive win, a little clunky at times because of all the penalties. And frankly, Luke Wattenberg was part of that. He had 5 penalties called on him by himself, 3 that were accepted. Obviously, that's way too many. One of the holds was weak, and there was a clip, a block in the back. But still, you can't be flagged 5 times in a game as an offensive lineman. I don't know where that goes. I mean, Fontenot's his backup, but Wattenberg's been good. He's got to cut down on that. You got to play clean, especially at Philly. Broncos got to be thinking in terms of 4 or 5 penalties. They're not winning a road game against a team that's won 20 of its last 21 games with 7 or 8 penalties. You're just not doing it. Even as hapless as the Eagles' pass offense was in the second half, they had 0 yards. Just throwing that out there. But you can have it. You can be in a game with them. You have a puncher's chance. If you can stop the run, and Barkley has not been great this season so far. Stop the run and run the ball. Take the crowd out of it. Control the tempo. And we saw that with J.K. Dobbins. J.K., yeah, he's A-okay. 101 yards. And it's not just that. He's got some juice. And he plays with an edge. And you watch him, and you can tell, and when I talk to the linemen, how much they enjoy blocking for him. I mean, as much as we're all rooting for Javonte Williams, and he's doing well in Dallas, I love to see it because I love the person. Dobbins has given them a little bit of juice that they didn't have last year. That burst. And that's showing up consistently. He's averaging 5.7 yards a carry, folks. Top 5 in the league. He's doing work. He's got 300-plus yards. It's very similar to his start last year, the first few months with the Chargers. And so that is really, really, really good to see with what Dobbins is doing. And the linemen, I'm telling you, they like it. They like it. And the crowd got into it. Did you hear the cheers for Alex Pachewski? When they say he's eligible, here he comes, 63. And that means, man, they're running the ball. And I think he got, 18 snaps. The crowd was totally into it. They're starting to buy in when they announce it over the PA. Eligible player coming in. Here he comes, Palczewski. That means power. That means throw the sawdust down. That means run the football. Here is Quinn Miners, kind of the best player on that offensive line, along with Bowles, talking about Palczewski and what it means for Dobbins to put that kind of game together for this line, for this team to show the Broncos can run the ball. Let's hear from Quinn Miners.
I love it for him. He's an incredible player, and I mean, it shows how locked in Broncos country is on these games and how much our fans love football because they see a jumbo, and normally that means running the ball. So that means Bronco country loves running the ball. That's the equation that I'm taking from it. So, yeah, it's fun.
There's literally someone in the stands that has a jersey that says eligible 63.
That's awesome. Shout out to that guy.
Yeah.
I'm sure you.
We got more.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah, sorry. We already spoke about this, but just the pride in first 100-yard rusher since Sean Payton's been here, getting Dobbins over that.
Yeah, need it.
Mark.
Need that. JK is an incredible runner. That's why we brought him here. And all of us on the O-line, and like we just got talking about, the jumbo and our tight ends, it takes all of us to get that rushing, yardage. Cortland's out there throwing blocks. Our wide receivers are throwing blocks. A lot of the long runs that you guys see, O-line, our job is, first and second level. Wide receivers are third level, and that's when you see the explosive runs really start to happen.
Quinn, after back-to-back heartbreakers, how important was it for you guys to get this win tonight?
It was really important. Every game is important to win. I think the thing that we're going to take away as an offense is that we were able to put this game away in the fourth quarter. That's something we have not done as an offense the last two games, that were, right there, right in front of us to take and to win. So I think that's some good growth and development from our offense to put this game away tonight.
Well, it gives you a good idea. Quinn's a very thoughtful person, and he understands what it means. When you can run the ball and impose your will, you can win anywhere. Running game carries, running game travels. Just like they say, defense travels, a running game will travel. And it travels in December and January when you absolutely need to be able to run, not only when you want to, but when you have to. And they had 186 yards rushing last night. It was their best running game since when they beat Cleveland in Peyton's first year, when they showed real balance. So the Broncos, they had on the ground 186 yards rushing. The Bengals had 159 total yards. But that's how you assert your will. They dominated the time of possession. Right at 37:58, almost 38 minutes compared to 22 minutes for the Bengals. Again, that goes back to the running game. Peyton has paid lip service to it for 3 years. Need to run the ball more, got to be balanced. And he finally did it. And I'm hoping it sends a message to not only the team, the line, and as they're forming this identity, but it sends it to him that, wow, these linemen are pretty good if we commit to it. You can't get good. In life, you get good at stuff you emphasize. You're not going to be a good running team when you don't run consistently. And they finally made this switch up where, again, the guys were getting a series, not every other play. Huge. You've got to let these running backs get into a rhythm. You wouldn't have a shooter shoot a three and then bring him out the next possession in basketball. And you've got to let these guys get into the flow of the game. Let the linemen start feeling themselves. And as you do that, typically it pays dividends. And we saw it last night. And J.K. Dobbins, he said on the podium, hey, I wanted to do it for Sean Payton. They were aware of it. I mean, I don't know if they knew the number of 38 games, but they were aware. The Broncos folks, get your pen and pencil out. Put it on your notes on your phone. Hadn't had a 100-yard rusher since Latavius Murray. Last game of the 2022 season with Jerry Rosberg as the coach. It's been a while. I covered Terrell Davis. I think if I remember, he had 1,000 yards after 7 games in one of those seasons. They're not going to be that, but it's just a reminder that coach the team that you have, not the team you want. This isn't the 08 Saints. It's not the 09 Saints. You don't have all these weapons everywhere. Focus on establishing the run, and it opens up the field for Bo Nix. It opens up the field for Sutton, where they have trouble double-teaming him now because of the way they have to commit and stop the run. And you've got to stay committed to it. If you have a bad couple series, you can't give up and abandon it. And it sends a message to the offensive line. And I said this on the pod before. Trust them, feed him. Keep integrating Harvey. I'm fine with that, but don't confuse it. Dobbins, along with Sutton, is your best offensive player right now. Feed him. Feed him. And they were rewarded for that commitment last night. Dobbins, a huge day, and it's not just an anomaly, folks. He's been good this season. Keep him involved. It will help. And now you hope now as he gets involved, Bo getting his rhythm, Troy Franklin's becoming the number two to Cortland Sutton, and Ingram is starting to show some signs of life. They're going to need him, folks, eventually. It's been disappointing, clearly. Ingram, 7 targets, 29 yards, but the idea that, like, we're going to get him the ball. It didn't work out exactly how they wanted, but it's like being cognizant of you didn't bring this guy in to platoon with Adam Troutman. There's got to be ways to get him more involved in the pass game. We saw that last night. It didn't totally play out, certainly statistically. He had a drop, but maybe now with another week, him seeing kind of where he fits, can he go to Philly and have 5 catches for 52 yards and a couple first downs? That's what you need from him. You don't need him to get 80 yards, but you need him to be a threat in the middle of the field. And we saw some of that. And all of it starts to open up and become realistic when you run the ball. And you run the ball effectively. And it's not going to be every week, but you got to stay committed to it. Don't sleep. Don't forget J.K. Dobbins. Harvey's part of it, and maybe in 8 weeks, he's the guy. Right now, as you're trying to get this thing going and get on a streak, Dobbins is one of your best players. Feed him. What a day by Dobbins. Dobbins said, hey, I hope you guys all like me at the end of the year. I'm having fun at this press conference. And he was. But let's not forget part of the reason the Broncos absolutely throttled the hapless Bengals, and they look terrible. Their last 2 games against Minnesota and Denver, I mean, you wonder if they would try to trade for a quarterback to get through the next couple months, because that division's wide open with the Ravens. I don't know if they're done, but they do not look like a playoff team. They've got, I think, 7 guys out on defense, 7 starters, and now Lamar might be out with a hamstring issue. If you're the Bengals and you can flirt around 500, you'd have a shot with when Joe Burrow comes back. I don't know. I'm just saying, offensively right now, they are tragically bad. Jamar Chase was losing his shit on the sideline over how bad they were. He's passionate about it, and he wants to win, but there's winning, and I feel like we have no chance. And that's what that frustration looked like. Are you kidding me? This is horrible. We have no chance. So we'll see. But, again, the Broncos created his bad mood. The Broncos made Jake Browning look miserable. Browning finished 14-25 for 125 yards. Didn't have a pick, but he was so ineffective. Nik Bonitto, folks, is just absolutely riding the diary of havoc. He leads in pressures. He's already, 4.5, 5 sacks on the season. He is just, his get off this year was always good. It's at a different level. I mean, he reminds me of like Elvis Dumervil in his prime, the way he is getting that first 2 steps. He is just living in the backfield. He and Cooper had a lot of pressures, didn't necessarily get the big sacks. He shared one at one point with Bonitto. But you're talking about consistent pressure. The ability to stop the run was huge. Chase Brown, for them, 10 carries, 40 yards. Once they made him one-dimensional, the Bengals were done. But they didn't get past the second half. They didn't get past the 50-yard line in the second half, according to my numbers. And overall, 159 yards in an NFL game. They had 9 first downs, 3 rushing, 3 passing, 3 by penalty. That's your Bengals offense? That is domination by the Broncos defense. Again, they have no Joe Burrow. I want to keep this in perspective. But those are numbers you don't typically see in an NFL game. And the 29-9 is, so you guys will remember this, that's what it was last week with the Broncos having 9 first downs and the Chargers having 29. That's why I said it was so unusual that the Broncos had a chance to win that game, because if you had just looked at the box score against the Chargers, you would have thought the Broncos lost like 30-3. They were in it, had a chance, because huge huge plays, and one to Sutton that changed the game right before half. But you look at this defense. Is this defense now starting to figure it out? They're nasty. They're talented on all three levels. A couple of things happened last night which bode well. They limited the big plays. The first drive scoring, that's happened in every drive this season, which has got to stop. You can't be trailing, especially on the road. They've given up points on every first drive of the game. They got to be better at that. But a couple of things. Alex Singleton clearly played his best game. He had not looked like himself. He's barely a year now removed from knee surgery, a little less than a year removed. Last night was the first game where it felt like he was playing downhill. It's the old, like, you're being proactive, not reactive. He played his best game of this season. Looked more like Singleton from a couple years ago. Can he build on that? They still have issues in coverage. We know that, but can he build on that? That's a part of it. The second thing is that the pressure they're getting is translating. And who responded to the challenge last night as much as anyone? Riley Moss. He was playing pissed off because they were like, their game plan clearly was, we're going to go to T. Higgins over and over and over. And they got a penalty early on Moss. It was kind of a sketchy penalty. And they kept going to him. And he was basically pointing to the sidelines, said, bring it. I want all the smoke. I'm the Marlboro man. I want all of it. Bring me the smoke. And he played well. And good for Moss because he felt like it was his fault they lost to the Chargers in the touchdown pass he gave up to Keenan Allen. He came up big. And again, the defense finished, not just plays, but they finished the game. They got consistent pressure. They were better against the run. And, oh, no, guess who's coming back? He should be back this week based on my conversations with him recently. We'll see. But Malcolm Roach with his calf injury, he should be coming back, if not this week, soon. He's eligible to come back. He'll help their run defense, which can't be overstated with a team playing Saquon Barkley. And he hasn't gotten off to a great start, but you just know he's capable of throwing out a 200-yard game. And that's the one way the Broncos would get thrashed on the road is if they can't stop him. You stop him and make them one-dimensional, you got a shot against the Eagles right now. You're going to have to play really, really, really clean on special teams. They've had a touchdown on special teams with a block kick, block punt the last 2 weeks. But you see an avenue because the Eagles are vulnerable with their offense right now. It would be a huge upset, just saying. But if you stop Barkley and Roach comes back and starts Barkley, you got a shot. But let's hear from these defensive players on what they saw from this game, what they saw from each other. So we're going to hear from Nik Bonitto, Alex Singleton, Pat Surtain about the big game, about the performance, the importance of getting a win when you're 1-2, and just kind of how this could carry over as they head off to play Philadelphia. Let's hear from the boys.
First, I want to give a shout out to Riley Moss. They went at him early in the game.
They did.
He told me he loved this shit. He loved it when they keep coming at him. He did his thing. They went away from it. Shout out to Riley Moss.
He shut him down afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. They tried to test him early. He wasn't going. So, all right, you can ask your question.
All right, back to the stats now. Which is the most impressive thing you guys did tonight between those things that I just remembered, rattled off there? I mean, not letting a team across the 50
Yeah.
first drive is nuts. In the NFL,
I mean, yeah, we knew, their game plan was going to be a little different. So we wanted to stop the run game first and foremost, and I feel like we did that for the most part. And then, hats off to the back end and, Coach VJ, all those guys. They did a great job tonight, covering those guys. Don't matter who the quarterback was. They still got to guard those elite receivers, so they did a great job for us tonight.
Nik, how much did this team need a game like this after the back-to-back heartbreaks?
Yeah, I mean, we're due for one. Obviously, like you said, these two games were easily winnable for us, and we felt like we let it by, and we let them have it. But it was good to bounce back tonight in front of the home crowd.
You heard what Coach, just said. You feel like you're playing as well as any kind of pass rusher in the league right now?
Something like that. I wouldn't say. I don't know. Yeah.
Well, let's put it this way. You feel like you're playing as well in that regard as you ever have in your career. Like, where do you feel at right now with your level of confidence just in what you're going to do? Yeah,
I mean, I just feel like I'm a more confident player this year. I'm seeing things a lot faster. I'm trusting myself in a lot of things that I'm doing within the defense. And, it's rewarding for me right now. So I just got to keep on doing that.
It's fun. I just enjoy this game. It's about, obviously it was a long time before playing, so these last few weeks, just kind of getting back into it. Today was the first night I really felt like myself. So it's the best game in the world.
Why'd you feel like yourself?
Yeah, my knee's just better. Every week it's a long recovery. So to still be under a year since surgery it takes a long time to just feel it. And football season it's tough going from training camp to games. But I think tonight was the first time I felt just fully there.
Not before y'all.
Thank you.
Alex, you guys forced more punts than points allowed. How happy were you with the defensive performance tonight?
Yeah, it was awesome. When we get in a rhythm like that, that's how we expect to play, and to just continue to do that was huge. When just getting three and outs, it feels really good, and I know then the offense plays the way they did it. It's really nice because we can really get going on the sideline and just keep playing that way.
Alex, wins are significant all the time, but you mentioned it. You're going to Philly, then you're going to London. So how significant it is to get this before that really long road trip?
Yeah, it's huge. We're obviously playing really well at home, and so now let's get that figured out on the road, which now we get 2 weeks to do that, and so go take care of business and do what we can, and then come back, like I said, for a long time.
Roddy's built for it, man. He's seen it all. Teams try to target him a lot. But he's made for it, man. He's ready for the competition. He always rises to the occasion. So, when he got amped up, it made me pretty amped up as well too. So it's always good to see that. But he played a heck of a game. Knowing that, they were trying to target him. Quite often. He held his own. So it was a great game by him.
Pat, what can you say about this defense? You need not just keep them out of the end zone, but after that first drive, they never crossed 50.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that says a lot. Like I said, no matter who's back there. I know Joe was out, but, we always pride in ourselves to make sure that, we eliminate the explosives. We make it hard on the opposing offense, and that's what we did tonight. And that's the standard, that we got to keep on upholding ourselves to in order to win those big-time games like that.
And the offense had a lot of long drives. How fresh did you feel, and how much did it help you guys?
Man, it helped us a lot, man. Getting our three and outs, and, offense sustaining long drives. I think that's what complementary football is about. The offense doing their job and us in the defense holding our own too. So, that was a great team effort. So,
Well, I hope that gives you a nice flavor for what the locker room was like. Thank you to my former employer, my friends at Denver 7, Nick Rothschild, Lionel Bienvenu, Jeff Howe, and, of course, Brady King for helping me with some sound because I got stuck in two places writing on deadline on a Monday night game. So thank you to them, Cap Tip, for getting me the video as well, because I could get the audio. But with the podcast on YouTube, you guys want to see them in the locker room, and you get a feel for Bonitto's starting to feel it, right? This defense is starting to get that edge, and that's critical for a team to be a great defense. To be a great defense, you have to be able to finish. And now that next step, can you win on the road? And can you beat a good quarterback on the road? Because for whatever you think about Jalen Hurts, and he has some strange stats. He has some statistical games that look like Rocky's Nafi Perez splits at home and away at Coors Field. He has some splits from halves to halves that are insane. He had no yards passing, 0 for 8 against Tampa. But you look at how he's played in the 2 Super Bowls. He's a top 10 quarterback for me. He's probably one of the best leaders in the NFL, certainly one of the toughest. He's easily the strongest quarterback. But if you're the Broncos, there's a window here. There's a lane if you stop the run. Force Jalen Hurts to beat you. And that gives you a chance. But this defense, again, if you're going to be great, you want to be in the conversation with the Orange Crush and the Orange Rush and the no-fly zone, you got to be good quarterbacks. You got to beat them on the road. And this is the next challenge. Because you win this game, to a team that's 20-1 in its last 21 games kind of the playoffs, now you're rolling. Now you're part of that national conversation again. You lose it, you're fine because you then play the Jets in London, the Giants when you come back, the Cowboys, the Raiders. You got a chance still to go on a run. But, man, you talk about changing the narrative of a season again. You win this game, holy smokes. So enjoy it, Broncos country. An impressive victory in a lot of ways. Bo's back. He showed that he can still be the guy they need him to be, efficient and crisp, decisive. They ran the hell out of the football, feed J.K. Dobbins, and the defense finished. Can they now carry that over to what has been the best team in the league for a year and a half, and when they face the Eagles in Philly? And an early call, at least on Mountain Time, next Sunday. Broncos country, I could not do this pod if it weren't for the help of Ted Shih and his family law practice, Darby Hoggatt of Hoggatt Injury Law, and of course, Mile High Sports with Danny Bailey behind the board, doing all the work and all the cool graphics you see, and Nate Lundy, my guy, who supports everything I do here at Mile High Sports. I could not do it without them. Broncos country, I do this pod for you. Happiness that begins with me. Go out there and have a great day.